What's up, your boy Vaughn, another reaction, and in today's video we have the Blueprint by Murdoch. We already know who he's talking about, the Kurtster. King Carti vamp, yes sir. What the fuck.
At 22
I forgot what I was about to say.
years old, Playboi Carti changed the landscape of hip-hop.
Playboi Carti has a line where he says, bought my mama a house off this mumbling shit.
The year's 2018, and hip-hop was at a pretty interesting spot. It just became the biggest genre in the United States, and the rise to the SoundCloud era was going global. 16 to 17-year-old kids were becoming worldwide sensations overnight, and anyone who had access to the internet and a phone could get multi-million-dollar record deals. And
Yeah, you got niggas making music off BandLab beans.
hip-hop's older genres were getting less and less streams. On one hand, hip-hop was one of the most progressive and experimental genres of music, experimenting with distortion and color. On the other, you had people clinging on to the older values of hip-hop, with lyricism, boom-bap beats, and fast flows. The older generation complained about hip-hop's lack of lyrics, repetitive
I remember this Snoop Dogg clip.
flows, and goofy beats, with one of the main culprits of this being Playboi Carti. Carti was supposedly part of the problem. Chauncey, a rap reaction channel, called Carti a bad rapper. And if you went by the standards
God damn, that nigga ain't aged at all. The boy still look the same Sean C. What the fuck?
of
That black really don't crack.
old hip-hop, you would probably be right. But Carti isn't just a regular rapper. Countless
And by the way, Die Lit is still this man's best album. I don't care. Die Lit still bro best album.
teenagers and young adults would be brought back to 1979, Washington, D.C.
That was his album. I mean his tour trailer. So many niggas then copied this trailer with the rock music and shit.
Introducing hardcore punk to the ears of thousands for the first time. Though Carti's music didn't necessarily sound punk, it borrowed a ton of elements from it. The anti-establishment imagery, repetitive lyrics, and the music being centered around performance. And within each performance was a kid looking up to Carti. Like how the teenagers of the late 70s and early 80s looked up to Sid Vicious and Ian MacKaye. Bringing us
Why they be saying that nigga Sid Vicious music was ass? I never heard that nigga music.
to the modern day,
I know Nine Vicious is named after him.
2026. One of the biggest byproducts and proponents of Carti's aesthetic
I'm telling y'all, this nigga just copying Carti, bro. I've been telling y'all this.
is Osamason, a 23-year-old rapper from North
Just copying this nigga, bro.
Carolina. Osamason's music and visuals are characterized by a scene dominated by Carti's sophomore album, Whole Lotta Red, and the art created through that influence speaks for itself. When Whole Lotta Red came out on Christmas 2020, the world was not ready for it. Hip-hop's
No, I remember that IG Live. Them niggas was in that bitch saying that album ass.
landscape as a whole was at a completely different spot to where it is today. Lil Uzi just dropped Eternal Take, meme rap was insanely popular, and Roddy Ricch's The Box was one of the biggest songs in the world. Carti was known as the guy with the baby voice and funny shoes who didn't drop music. But when Whole Lotta Red finally came out, it was met with a ton of pushback, as it didn't sound like the previous versions of the album. Whole Lotta Red went by three phases. Whole Lotta Red V1, Whole Lotta Red V2,
Up all them snippets and leaks.
and Whole Lotta Red V3. And a ton of people wanted Carti to bring that Whole Lotta Red V1 sound to the album. But there was also a group of people who listened to Whole Lotta Red and absolutely adored it. When Whole Lotta Red was first played live in Chicago, it was right before a Miley Cyrus set. A lot of the concert goers were frustrated since no one was allowed outside over the past year, as there was a global pandemic. Concerts were banned, tensions were at an all-time high, and the youth needed a platform to express themselves.
The fuck, nigga, this your house?
And what better way to do it than in one of the first shows of the year, Lollapalooza 2021. Whole Lotta Red's blend of
Whole Lot of Red is still a 6 out of 10 album, still a 7 out of 10 album. It ain't bad, you know what I'm saying? I done heard the song so many times, even the bad songs. I know them off my head, but
Culture, fashion, and live performances popularized a subgenre of hip hop
like Metamorphosis is not a good song, but I done heard this shit on TikTok so much and niggas playing it, I just knew the lyrics. Metamorphosis.
that continues to dominate the scene today. Rage, a blend of trap's repetitive lyrics, EDM styled elements, and heavy 808s, with the subgenre even receiving a couple of different subgenres. And one of the best examples of this is a 19-year-old taking over hip hop's underground. Che's one of the biggest proponents of the new generation, continuing Whole Lotta Red's legacy, from the skinny jeans and Rick Owens to the St. Peter homages.
You look dirty, my nigga, in this. What the fuck? He look dirty in this music video game. Shave your stomach, gang.
Che took a lot of inspiration from the dark themes of Whole Lotta Red, but there's an artist that takes the darkness from Whole
But you about to talk about blood. You serious, gang?
Lotta Red even further, even leaning into elements similar to horror punk, likely taking inspiration from the Misfits and the Cramps. Bleed takes Whole Lotta Red's anti-establishment shock aesthetic to an entirely different level, to the point where this
This nigga ass, bro. Man, so
video would get demonetized if I showed you even half of what he was doing. Bleed's the perfect example of an artist pushing the boundaries of modern music. There's a sense of nostalgia in the way he carries himself with his outfits, build, and overall vibe pertaining to a darker era of Carti. Carti's Whole Lotta Red and King Vamp eras. Whole Lotta Red V2 was a version of Whole Lotta Red filled with experimentation. It was a project that was vindicated by history. At one point, people called it unlistenable. Fans wanted Carti to go back to Cash Carti, a version of Carti that was a bit tamer and who didn't experiment as much. And Whole Lotta Red V2 never actually released because of the criticism. But today, it's completely different. People love Whole Lotta Red V2, and people crave for that version of Whole
I just seen one of those snippets. Hold on.
Lotta Red to come out officially. The thing is, Whole Lotta Red V2 was hated so much to the point where only 2 songs
Nigga, I always liked the baby voice Cardi. Stop playing.
officially came out from the era, which forced Carti to pivot to the Whole Lotta Red we know today. But there's one artist potentially bringing it back. Lucy Bedrock.
Who? Bitch, is this a paid promo game?
Lucy's vocal inflections and his voice in general are one of the biggest reasons why people tie him so closely to Carti. Lucy uses a variety of different voices in their music, but they're very distinct in their style, pushing the boundaries of Rage even further, especially with their recent project, Une Musique.
Who gang? Man, get that punk off my screen, gang.
Lucy actually said they wanted to work on V2 as a mixtape, an homage to Carti. But they then retracted that statement and opted not to do it. A lot of the kids Carti's inspired have started creating their own image, from photos and graphics to evolving Carti's beats from his older music. And one of the people currently doing this is Nine Vicious. Though his sound takes more inspiration from Young Thug compared to Carti, Carti's influence is clearly there. Nine's one of the kids who was greatly inspired by Carti's Whole Lotta Red era, leaning heavy into repetitive flows and aggressive ad-libs, more so sampling Carti's previous music with rumors of him signing to YBL.
The nigga just sample and sample and sample and sample, bro. Like, nigga run out of samples.
But the prevailing dogma of this new influence that Carti's been bringing is experimentation and self-expression.
Yeah, you about to talk about Too Slimy, bro.
There's another artist that a lot of critics often call unlistenable because of the clear distortion, experimentation in their music. But there's also a lot of people who say that he's the future of music. Having a clear
Gang, nobody said that, gang. Too Slimy is a meme. They're memeing him.
influence from Carti and Carti's punk-like aesthetics.
You gonna sit here and tell me that that's good? With that snippet you just played me, you gonna sit here and tell me that's good, that's listenable. You could listen to that.
Too Slimy draws inspiration from the punk bands from the late 70s and early 80s, citing Minor Threat as one of his main inspirations. Doing research for this video, I discovered this hardcore punk band from Japan called Gloom, and noticed that Too Slimy's sound philosophies are pretty similar to theirs. I'm a firm believer in experimentation and breaking norms when it comes to music. People tend to be afraid of what they don't understand, and I think Too Slimy envelops that exact philosophy. And I think Too Slimy is going to have an effect on the underground that was fairly similar to how Carti changed the world with his baby voice.
For real, you really believe that? You really believe that, game?
The current underground is one of the most promising scenes I'm proud to say I'm a part of. In my opinion, this is one of the best years when it comes to music. And the amount of people pushing boundaries, taking down age-old walls when it comes to hip-hop, and the amount of creativity within this space is one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. I'm sure all of us could credit the current scene, partially, from the wonderful world of Whole Lotta Red.
All right, bro. Nigga just told me that Too Slimy the future of music and that he gonna have to have a Cardi influence, I guess, gang. Bring back this Cardi though.